How a kid with $0 created Nike. Every big thing starts with a spark. You cannot create big things without getting to know what being small feels like. Yes, this is the story of a person, just an ordinary graduate who is trying to make ends by doing a 9 to 5 accountant job. Now he started thinking about what could be done, how to take life out of misery. Then he came up with such an idea that became one of the biggest entrepreneurship journeys in America. Stay with us to know the complete story. According to Phil Knight, co-founder of Nike, came from running track at Hayward Field in Oregon and out of the classroom at Stanford Business School. He talked about the idea came. Phil had a love for running and was called the middle distance runner in his college. His coach was Bill Bowerman. His insane concept was developed when he combined that with a thesis he authored while student at Stanford that argued the labor costs in Japan were lower than in Germany, where shoes should be produced. Knight's company, which at first went by the name Blue Ribbon Sports, had its start when Knight persuaded a few Japanese businessmen to ship their well-liked Tiger sneakers to the United States and give him the rights to market them. Knight discovered there was a market for Tigers after selling them on his vehicle. He then placed more Japanese shoe orders, plus more, up to the point where he had to bring one more staff to meet the demand. The journey wasn't always easy. Knight routinely experienced severe financial issues and rarely received his supplies from Japan on time. Banks were hesitant to make the necessary loans, and 2 banks eventually stopped doing business with Knight, despite the fact that his sales were consistently tripling. Knight was compelled to leave the facilities as issues with the Japanese firm over their exclusivity deal started to arise. In a sense, Blue Ribbon was starting over. At that time, Knight and his team had to locate new factories to manufacture their shoes and even come up with a new brand name. In 1971, 7 years later, the business had 50 employees as the partnership with a Japanese shoe supplier came to an end. Phil decided to have his shoe made in Mexican shoe manufacturer that had received the endorsement of Adidas. Also, he required a new name for his initial purchase of leather soccer shoes, which he intended to market as football shoes. He polled his staff to find the best name, Dimension 6, which was declined by everyone for being unspeakably horrible. He then came up with the name himself. Phil didn't have time to search for more names because he was already out of time. So the first employee of this company told him about a dream he had. In his dream, he came up with a name called Nike. It was the theme of Greek goddess of victory. Now, this time, the name was simply loved by everyone. So Phil changed the name of his brand, Blue Ribbon Sport, to Nike in 1978. The campaign was developed and managed by the creative firm Wieden plus Kennedy. The agency's founder, Dan Wieden, believed that the campaign needed a catchphrase to tie everything together because each spot was created by a different creative team. Dan acknowledged that he derived inspiration from a murderer's last message to the public execution team before his execution. Let's do it. In a 2009 advertising documentary, Nike didn't think the tagline was necessary for the campaign, but agreed to use it. If we talk about the tagline, it is so energetic and simply empowers athletes to do the best. Then, in the middle of 1980s, Nike slipped its foundation and was compelled to make a small but significant change. It learned to be marketing-oriented, putting the consumer in the limelight rather than the product and the brand under close security. Since that time, Nike has reclaimed control of the athletic shoe market. It controls 29% of the market and had a $3 billion in sales in the 1991 fiscal year. Adidas was the market leader in athletic footwear in 1983, having grown to be a billion-dollar corporation. Now a formidable rival, Nike was chewing at the company's lead and trying to find a method to catch up. Michael Jordan was the uncontested basketball superstar in 1984. He intended to sign with Adidas, but Nike offered him with a better deal, $500,000 annually for 5 years, along with a chance to create his own shoe brand. Michael Jordan took his parents' counsel into consideration before accepting Nike's offer. Nike released Air Jordans the following year. This new pair was a big hit. Air Jordans costing $126 million were sold by the corporation in the first year of the agreement. Every year during the Jordan's playing career, a new version of sneaker was released. Throughout his 36-year association with Nike, Michael Jordan, widely regarded as the greatest players in NBA history, earned $1.3 billion. His lengthy association with Nike contributed to the company's rise to the top of the global athletic shoe industry. The corporation kept working with the famous designers as part of its overall business plan. The company has worked with artists such as singer-songwriter Drake, jewelry brand Swarovski, Dior, Louis Vuitton, artistic director Virgil Abloh, Kanye West, and Jun Takahashi, founder and head designer of cult Japanese label Undercover. The sneaker subculture had already emerged in the 1970s, but Nike's partnership with Michael Jordan helped it spread internationally. The sneaker resale business was estimated by the Financial Times to be worth close to $2 billion last year. Nike's subsidiary, the Jordan Brand, which continues to dominate sneaker sales, brought in $3.14 billion between May 2018 and May 2019. Several people attribute the Air Jordan 1 as being the first shoe to popularize sneakers. This brand has also risen to the status of one of the most desirable in the world this year. The most expensive pair of sneakers which ever sold was Michael Jordan's game-used autographed Nike Jordan 1S from 1985, which fetched $560,000 at Sotheby's auction. The Nike Mag, the shoes Marty McFly wore when he traveled back in time in 2015, in the 1989 film Back to the Future 2, are the rarest and the most prized pair of shoes ever created. Despite falling apart, the sneakers brought $92,100 in 2018. The Michael Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research received the funds raised. Since Nike always signs very high potential celebrities, people also ask, is Nike a shoe technology or just an advertisement brand? Phil answered this question as they have long regarded themselves as a production-oriented business, which means that the design production of the product have received all of our attention. But now we realize that marketing the product is the most crucial thing we do. There are now 1,096 Nike retail locations operating worldwide. The 56-year-old business is the largest producer of sports shoes in the world, with an anticipated 28% market share and €35 billion in revenue for 2019. Adidas comes in second with €24 billion. Community-based organizations in America and Europe are supported by the Nike Community Impact Fund. Nike School Innovation Fund collaborates with Oregon school administrators to raise graduation rates and to better prepare kids for post-secondary education and careers. By encouraging children to be active, Nike N7 brings about good in coming generations, especially youth. The company isn't scared to stir up controversy in order to defend its principle. Several people lit their Nike sneakers on fire after 2018 Dream Crazy advertisement debut, while others complimented the company for acting morally. Nike is one of the most innovative companies in the world and will endure the test of time because it combines innovation, amazing offline and online customer experiences, community participation, and contemporary designs.